So it's been a long time coming, but I've actually finished 1984 by George Orwell, and this version is that particular one, the Penguin Modern Classics version that I picked up from Waterstones. And it's sort of, I had meant to do a video about it earlier, but my Goodreads review was put up last week and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It had been recommended to me by a number of people, close friends and others, who had read it a long time ago, and I sort of missed the train really, in terms of a lot of people read it at school, but I wasn't, we didn't cover that in the curriculum. But what we did read was Animal Farm, and I think that's one of the best books ever written as well. So this has been on the back burner really for a number of years, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think personally it's one of the best books ever written, building on from Lord of the Flies. So it's got an introduction by Thomas Pynchon, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and also a note on the text by Peter Davison, and they're the only sort of real limitation of the book really, because I'm someone who reads from cover to cover, and I think that those two short notes at the start sort of give away certain bits of the plot that are sort of annoying really. So they would have been better off at the back or just omitted from the book, 100%, just take them out. But the book proper is a fantastic read, and it's eerily relevant to the modern times, especially with regards to the CIA, the NSA, the Edward Snowden, the Glenn Greenwald news that came out in the last couple of years about spying and everything else. And I'll just read out the blurb for people that are yet to read it. Hidden away in the record department of the sprawling Ministry of Truth, Winston Smith skillfully rewrites the past to suit the needs of the party. Yet he inwardly rebels against the totalitarian world he lives in, which demands absolute obedience and controls him through the all-seeing telescreens on the watchful eye of Big Brother, symbolic head of the party. In his longing for truth and liberty, Smith begins a secret love affair with the fellow worker Julia, but soon discovers the true price of freedom is betrayal. That's sort of the blurb and the outline of the plot. It's almost prophetic in terms of how it outlines aspects of society. So much of this novel is prevalent in modern culture and the way we live our lives. It's bearing in mind it was written in 1949. There will be some spoilers in this review, so I would stop watching now and go and read the book, and then come back and come back to the video again, because I really think it's necessary to quote some of the key plot points so you get a feel of how the book is so relevant. Winston is the key character who works at the Ministry of Truth, and it's his job to sort of alter history, and it's almost propaganda in terms of he gets documents and other pieces of literature that compromise the current party line, and he disposes of them or rewrites them. And the novel sort of conjures up new terminology that is now part of the zeitgeist, as it were. So words like Big Brother, which everyone's heard of the TV show. Big Brother is the symbolic head of the party who comes onto all of the different telescreens that pervade the society. And bearing in mind, this was all fairly new in 1949. There's TV screens everywhere, and yet, if you compare that to the current era, we are just enveloped in TV and media and bombarded with propaganda messages. And that is the key theme in this book, the sort of constant bombardment with propaganda, the party line and the politics. But Winston seems to want freedom and some liberty and democracy, or escapism from the current prison that he lives in, freedom of thought. And the key organisation that are against that are the thought police. So everyone's familiar with the term thought police. So you could basically get shopped by your own family and your own children to the thought police, and then you'll magically disappear, and the word for that is vaporised. So they actually get rid of you, and they'll erase all evidence that you ever existed. And that can be relevant to today. In the latter stages of the book, Winston gets imprisoned in the Ministry of Love, and obviously that's a double-speak term for torture, basically, the Ministry of Torture. he gets taken there and re-indoctrinated with the party line. And I won't spoil any more of the book, but it's sort of how he changes from being a rebel back into becoming part of this overarching culture. And I think, as I say, it's so relevant to the current political structure that everyone's got to read it, and I do think it should be part of the curriculum in schools, and people should be aware of how it's so important for, you know, waking people up in terms of how the governments work and how society works. So I can't recommend it highly enough. I think it's a truly groundbreaking book, and it's well deserved of its reputation as one of the best books ever written. So if you want more in-depth critique of this book, please check out my Goodreads review, my text review, which I'll put in the description. And if you want to stay tuned for more reviews, I'm currently working my way through a number of books, but the main one at the moment is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. So stay tuned for my review when I finish that. I'm going to try and speed up and get through a few more books over the Christmas period. So do stay tuned, please like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.